It was only months ago that the government confirmed they had been seeing flying objects that they were unable to identify and surely weren't them. In fact, all the world's governments repeated the same sentiment, saying that these vessels were not theirs. So, we have two possible conclusions. The first being that the governments are lying to us, and the second being that there are extraterrestrials studying our species right now. Funnily enough, both of these things are true. However, everyone knows the government lies, so let's focus on the more interesting part. Aliens are and have been studying us for decades. At this point, we can reasonably believe that they understand us better than we do. The good news is, you, yes you, on your smartphone or laptop are safe from this study. Much like the police, it's very apparent that these extraterrestrials hate being recorded. When we first started recording them, even in our earliest forms, we became annoying to them. We began deterring their studies because they're not here to cause a mass panic. They're just researchers. Let's be honest, any species capable of accomplishing the feats that would be required just to reach us would totally be able to eradicate us. No, these aliens aren't bloodthirsty warlords looking to go all War of the Worlds on us. They're the equivalent of broke college students finishing up their final thesis before presenting. There is no mothership, just the intergalactic equivalent of a barely running 2002 Honda Civic. No battle plans, they just seem to be viewing us as more of a nature preserve, only grabbing a few studies here and there. The goal is to release them after the observation period concludes. What that may entail for the poor soul who is studied is beyond me. Most who do safely return are deemed as lunatics by anyone they speak to, and that is for good reason. These days, anyone will claim just about anything to get a little bit of clout, meaning the people who are truly abducted are very few and far between versus the hundreds of thousands of people claiming to have an experience. Most people don't care about this at the moment anyway, because it seems things flying in our skies are only allowed to have a 2-week news cycle per year. But in recent years, we've been seeing less and less of them. Well, why exactly is that? Is it because the invention of high-definition video has somehow sent them packing back to the planets from which they came? No, we simply made their job more difficult. Any scientist will tell you of the observer effect, which states that the act of observing an experiment will simply change the results. There is no way around this, it's well known on our world and in theirs. Now imagine that being multiplied by 1,000, as each of us potentially observing them observing us while recording it and sending it across the internet to billions of humans. No. That would surely skew their results. This leaves them in a mighty fine predicament, as they need test subjects but they don't want to cause a fuss with obtaining them. If only there were groups of people in roughly the same regions they've been spotted before that have a greatly reduced access to modern technology and social media. Seemingly unrelated, if you're living in the US, have you noticed how the news channels have suddenly stopped reporting anything to do with the so-called border crisis? A little over a year ago, these quote-unquote illegal aliens were on every front page of every newspaper and news channel. I haven't heard about them in months. Well, the truth of the matter is they just don't want you to think about them anymore. Those masses of people trying to enter the United States are actually perfect for study. They rarely have phones or cameras, let alone any way to share this. If a few of them disappear, it's unlikely for us to notice. There are fewer loose ends. Surely the same occurs all around the world in lesser developed areas, but the moment we saw something on the southern border, a little bit strange, but not hurting us directly, we turned our heads. The extraterrestrials love those aliens. Anyway, what are we distracting ourselves with today? Have you seen the news?